Welcome to another episode of Candid Moments. Today, I am so excited to have a fearless woman in our community here with us today. She works for Northern Business Solutions, and she sits on the board of this, that, and the other thing. She does so much, and she's a mother and a wife, and she does so much. But she's also the host of the Lace 'Em Up show or podcast. Please help me welcome Amanda Zurkowski. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. This is so nice. I haven't seen you since you spoke on the Mo Monday stage.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
So 2 years.
It's been a little while. Everybody's been cooped up for 2 years, and now we're just starting to get out again.
Yes, and see, the animals and the humans suddenly come out of hibernation.
Yes.
happy spring, by the way.
The same to you.
Thank you. So, Amanda, this is how I like to start. Tell me 3 things, if you can keep it to 3 things that you are grateful for today.
I am grateful for an awesome March break with my family. We went to Niagara Falls and Mississauga with the kids. So we got to share some fun times with them. I am also grateful to just be at home. I'm currently on mat leave. So just being able to be at home and be present is kind of a big thing, because I think so much in our daily lives, we don't really get to be present in a lot of things. And I have never felt more present with my family. So that is a big one. And then I am also super grateful because I am going to be heading down to Kitchener on Wednesday morning for the 2022 Kubota CHL NHL Top Prospects game. I actually get to cover that game for Lace 'Em Up. So this is the first time doing something this big on this big of a scale, because it is broadcast by TSN. So there are going to be some big wigs there. So I am super excited and very grateful that I get to be part of it.
Oh, that is so awesome. Nice. I'm grateful that it's spring. I'm grateful for the sun, hair product.
Yeah.
My good functioning brain. I'm grateful for going to the IMAX with my nephew over the March break, see the dinosaurs of Antarctica. It was so moving, and it was 3D, and I cried. That's just neither here nor there. It was awesome. I'm grateful for coffee, talking to my mom on the phone, and being me, and for candid moments.
There you go. Speaking of coffee.
Yeah.
Mine's decaf though, so it's not nearly as exciting.
Oh. Oh, are you nursing?
I am.
Oh, okay.
I am. So I am still on the decaf train. I have never felt more tired in my entire life. I want caffeine so bad, but I know that I cannot limit to just 1 cup a day. So I'm sticking with decaf, and we want to have another baby. So I just figured it was easier to just stick with decaf if I get pregnant again, because I'm not switching again.
Oh my gosh, life of a mom.
Yeah.
So what's the background? Like, are you a reporter or journalist?
So I got started in a very unconventional way. A guy that I was dating, crepes, almost 7 years ago now, he worked in TV in North Bay, and I had the opportunity to work in the broadcast truck for the OHL games in North Bay. And I kind of caught the bug of, okay, I want to do this. Like, I want to get involved more than just in the truck. I want to be the one asking questions, because growing up, hockey was always such a huge part of my life. You know, my dad always says, he goes, you know, when you were a baby, I'd come home from my night shift and I would rock you back to sleep and feed you your bottle, you know, while we'll watch TSN and we watch Sportsnet in the middle of the night. So it's been ingrained in me since a very young age. Yeah. And I've just grown up with it. And I love I love hockey. I love sports in general. Hockey and baseball are my two big ones, but I had the opportunity to kind of start getting in front of the camera a little bit and asking some questions, and it kind of started from there. And I really wanted to continue that. So I reached out to Eastlink here locally in Sudbury, and I said, hey, like, I'm interested in volunteering. Is this something that maybe you guys need at the time? And it was, because Amanda Pride, who had done the rinkside reporting and broadcasting for Eastlink, was moving on to kind of a different role with Eastlink. So they did have a vacancy that was available, and I was put in I believe this is my 5th season doing rinkside reporting for Eastlink Community TV, the Wolves hockey. So I've gone through 5 seasons of hockey with this team. We've seen, guys graduate on from the OHL. You get to know them a little bit through doing the interviews. And then 4 seasons ago, really, because we did take last season off, I decided to pitch them ideas about doing a show on Eastlink, and that's where Lace 'Em Up was born. And now we're in our 3rd season, I guess technically 4th, but we had to take the hiatus. So 3rd season we're on. This week will be episode 23 this year already. And we're planning on going until at least the end of the OHL playoffs. So probably end of May, beginning of June almost. So still got lots more in the books.
That's great. Wait a minute. So my show is in week 54. How many weeks do you guys do it weekly?
We do weekly. Yeah, we do weekly. So I think over the 3 seasons, I think the first season was 24 episodes. Last year or 2 years ago would have been, I think, 28. And then we had to pause because COVID started and canceled everything. So we didn't really have a last show. It was very like final, and you didn't know it was final. So that was tough because you didn't really have the closure on that season. And then now this season, we're already at episode 23.
That's great. And I know it's OHL, are they local? Are they all local? Only some?
So Ontario Hockey League is based primarily in Ontario. There are a few teams in the States that participate in the Ontario Hockey League to make up the 20 teams. Okay. And because of COVID, they did change the way that they do the schedule this season. So typically we would play each team at least once a year. This year you stay within your conference, with the exception that we have played the Sioux Greyhounds a number of times just because of location. We're so geographically close to the Sioux, even though that they're in the Western Conference. So normally we get more as far as seeing different teams. This season it's been very compact. You stick to your conference. So we've seen a lot of North Bay this year. We've seen a lot of Mississauga and Niagara. So it's been a bit of a different year, but at the same time, it was just, I remember walking into the arena for the first time in like a year and a half. And walking in, like, I kind of had to hold back tears just because I was so happy to be back doing something that I absolutely love, and didn't realize just how much I think I loved it, having to take the time off. And, when you get back doing to something that you love, as I'm sure it fills your cup, and you just feel so much better about everything, I find. And I just had a much better outlook on everything.
Isn't that great? Oh, I love that. Living your passion.
I think that there's, would I love to get paid for what I do? Absolutely. I would love to turn that into a paying job. There's no question. I think anybody who has, very passionate about something would love to get paid for what they do. But at the end of the day, like, I wouldn't give this up for anything, even paycheck or no paycheck. It's something that I have realized has been my outlet creatively for the last 3 years. And without it, I think I would be very lost. I don't think I would feel as fulfilled as I do. Because having that outlet for me, especially during COVID, I really noticed during COVID, not having that outlet, I felt like my anxiety was higher. I didn't have a release. Like, this is my release for me. So sitting down and being able to write a new episode every single week and, researching and doing the work that goes behind it, just having that outlet was so important to me.
That is so fabulous. I love it. And you've gotten to know so many of the players. And I was watching the outtakes, like the outtakes, yeah, like the bloopers. Oh my God, they're so good. And you're so cute on camera. Oh my God.
You know what? That's probably the hardest part for me is actually, I don't often watch my shows back.
Oh no?
No. I think that as women, especially, we can be our own worst critics. And I don't think that there's anybody harder on me than me. So to look back immediately, I start thinking, I don't have the body type to be doing this. Because if you look at like TSN and Sportsnet, you think they're all like these, stick thin women, and
who cares? No, but we're not. We need to embrace like who we are.
It's so true. It's so true. And that's a dialogue that I have to work on the regular with myself, because there have been times where I'm like, I don't feel like I necessarily belong in this role because of my own twisted persona of what is right, wrong, what should be, what shouldn't be. And it has taken a lot of work and some therapy to get that mindset of, no, I can do this. I know my stuff. I know my stuff. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing this. And that's where I have to allow myself that opportunity to just take a step back, take a deep breath, and realize, no, you got this. Like, I've got this, and I know what I'm doing. So if I didn't, I wouldn't have a show on, Eastlink. They would take me off the air, because you watch some shows on any TV and you're like, okay, they either don't know what they're talking about, or you can tell that they're not passionate about it. And it's just a role for them and they're going through the motions. I'm not going through the motions. This is something that I love.
And you can tell when you're in it, you can tell you're passionate about it, and you're in there, and like all your videos that you post on Facebook, it's all about hockey and the games and the scores and everything. And sometimes you're at the game and you're posting a video.
Yes.
It's so great. Like your passion oozes out of you. So tell me some things that you've learned along this journey so far.
I've learned, I think the biggest lesson for me is that I've learned what I am capable of and pushing boundaries. I think at the beginning, I really struggled more so with just wondering whether or not this was a space for me. Sports broadcasting as a whole is not a women's world by any means. There are still many barriers that have to get knocked down. To this day, recently this season, I've walked into a visiting arena as a media, accredited media person, walked in, signed in, and was in a room full of men, and most of them are older. And I was asked if I was lost, and because that's the persona. There is still very much a stigma about, is this a boys club? And I've had to work through that. I think that has been one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, even about myself, is that, okay, you can take that noise and you just have to shut it off, because if you don't, it's going to drive you crazy and you're going to feel like you don't belong here. And I didn't want that for myself. And I also, as a mom of boys, I don't want to raise my kids that way. It needs to be, they need to see mom in a role that may not be this typical gender stereotype role or position. and actually excelling at it. So that for me was a huge piece. I think that another thing that I have learned is just how much time actually goes into this. So a lot of people have commented to me, they're like, oh, I love the show. Who writes your show? Well, I write my show. Nobody else does my show for me. I have to write it.
Right.
So every week I'm writing anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 words for an episode, which is time consuming because, that's pretty much almost 3 pages fully typed on a computer that I'm having to write, but it's the research behind it. And every single week you have to research because every single week things are changing, things are happening. So it is very time consuming. Mondays and Tuesdays around our house are, kind of known as lace them up days. So they know I'm very busy those 2 days.
Yeah.
But it's finding that balance of, is this something that I want to continue doing because I love it? Or do I give it up and lose that outlet, that passion? And I've always come to that decision where it's like, no, I can never give this up. I would love to do more actually, and further what I'm doing. So, for the first time going and covering, a game like the Top Prospects game, that's a huge opportunity. Last week, I interviewed Sam Cosentino from Sportsnet, and that was for me probably one of the best interviews that I've ever done, but also one of those moments where I had to take a step back and I was getting prepared for the interview. And I was so nervous because, he's a guy that I look up to because of his role within the world of hockey and what he does. And, he's a junior hockey analyst and he's fantastic at what he does. So for him to even take the time to set aside so that we could have a chat was pretty phenomenal.
That's awesome. Was it over Zoom or in the studio?
It was over Zoom, but I will meet him in person on Wednesday in Kitchener. So that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
What's that event called?
So it's the 2022 Kubota CHL NHL Top Prospects game. So what that game is basically NHL teams dictate for the most part what the roster is going to look like. So it is draft eligible players for the upcoming NHL entry draft. You're looking at, the top 40 players that are going to be available essentially that the teams want to see and see them in action playing with highly skilled players. And it gives them a great opportunity to kind of see what they're able to do in that type of situation.
Send that description to me.
Okay.
Email, just so I know. I'm just thinking about promoting this episode as we're creating the content. Sorry.
No, that's great.
I'm present. I promise. Wow. So that event in Kitchener, how many reporters or sports people get to attend?
So I'm not 100% sure. There are going to be a lot of scouts there for sure. You'll probably see scouts from every NHL team present at that game. And then you will have obviously the contingency of TSN, Sportsnet, and then your local media people. But you do, so even though I have a CHL media pass, we had to apply to get a special media accreditation for this particular tournament or for this particular game, in fact. So it's not like everybody from every media outlet is going that covers the OHL. So it's definitely an exciting opportunity because, knowing the names of the people that, are at TSN that are going to be at this game, it's kind of going to be one of those moments where I've watched you since I was 2 years old on TSN. So
that's huge.
Yeah, my dad is super jealous, but also super proud. He's like, I can't believe this. I'm like, neither can I. Don't worry, neither can I.
That's amazing. Well, there are players there too.
Yeah, so there you've got
Well,
players
since you said
from the entire Canadian Hockey League. So from the WHL, so the Western Hockey League, the Q, which is the Quebec Junior Major or Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, QMJHL, yes, and then the OHL. So coast to coast, top players, the top 40 players. So we're
Top
lucky in the
40?
OHL. We've got some really high caliber talent. I believe there's 18 OHL players that were selected to participate in this tournament. So, or this game, I keep saying tournament, but it's a game.
Okay.
In this one game. So definitely very well represented. The consensus first overall draft selection for the upcoming NHL draft is in the Ontario Hockey League. Shane Wright, he plays for the Kingston Frontenac. So I actually had the opportunity to interview him at the very beginning of the season. That was how I started off Lace 'em Up this year. So it was a big interview to start the year, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to catch up with him at the game and do some interviews with him, just so that we have some more content now that we're most of the way through the Ontario Hockey League schedule. You know, the Sudbury Wolves, they have 9 games left on their schedule for the year. So we're winding down. We're getting to a point where playoffs are going to be starting, I believe April 17th is the last day for the regular season. I believe the playoffs start on the 21st, but don't hold me to that because I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Where was that, the guy that you just mentioned? Where's he from?
So he plays in Kingston.
Okay.
Yeah, he plays in Kingston. And he is a very dynamic player. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see him in action with players of his caliber. Because you have to understand, with Ontario Hockey League teams or WHL or the Q teams, you've always got your kind of top 3, 4, 5 guys on your team. The reality is that when you play in the Ontario Hockey League, you're not guaranteed to go to the NHL. Very few actually make it to the NHL from the Ontario Hockey League.
Okay.
The Ontario Hockey League is a development league. There are many opportunities for players, whether they go and play at college, university level, if they are deciding to play maybe pro, but going to Europe, playing in the ECHL. There's many opportunities. The NHL is always, the be all end all when it comes to hockey. But the reality is that very, very few players ever make it to the NHL.
But that's their goal.
Absolutely. When you talk to most of them, their goal is the NHL. Some of them understand that that's not where they're going to end up, just because of the caliber of player that they potentially may be. Playing university hockey, there's nothing to hang your head about that, because there's obviously great opportunities. When you play in the Ontario Hockey League, you are guaranteed a scholarship. So you have the opportunity to play and learn, which is really exciting, because at the end of the day, a hockey career, even when you do get to go play at that high level of the NHL, they only last for so long. By your mid 30s, typically a lot of them are hanging up their skates. So, it's always nice to kind of have a little bit of a backup plan, or have that education to fall back on. And, even with our own kids, we tell them, like, there's nothing wrong with getting an education, no matter what role you're in, so that at the end of the day, you have something to fall back on when maybe that door closes, or that chapter, is done. You have another chapter ready to go.
Yeah, that's true. Because these, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, even with ourselves, and like, yes, I've been at Northern Business Solutions for 6-7 years now. And I love that role. Is it going to be the role that I play forever? Probably not. And I need to prep myself for that next chapter. So, I feel like in this day and age, you should never stop learning. Like, you always need to be in this constant learning cycle. because you never know what opportunity is going to come up or present itself. Or perhaps you might come up with, your own business plan and want to launch something like that, but you need to have something, right? You need to have the knowledge on how to get to that next step. Like, okay, I have this great idea, but how do I get to the next step?
Right. So are you in marketing? Like, what do you do at Northern Business
So
Solutions?
I'm in sales. So I've been in sales for 7 years. I've done very well there. The last 2 years have been a little bit slower. I also feel like my priorities may have shifted a little bit more from, I didn't want to work until 11 o'clock at night every night, because in sales, there are no set hours. Yes, my day is 8 to 5, but if you want to get to that next level, you need to put in that extra work, and you can't shy away from, all those extra hours and all the extra time and energy that you're putting into everything. But I found, especially with COVID, that my priorities shifted a lot from like almost burning myself out to saying no to some things that were maybe depleting my energy, and then being able to, in many ways, hyper focus on the tasks that I had instead of being spread so thin. I don't know if I will always be in sales, but I do really love it. It definitely, I love building the connections, because for me, it's about connections, right? And connections with people, not, oh, I have these connections. It's about the actual human connection,
Right.
of developing relationships with clients, understanding their needs. Because we're business to business sales, you understand different avenues of business. When I walk into a law firm, I now know how things potentially may operate from a standpoint of their business productivity. So I can go in and help them because I understand that market. But I can also go in and do the same in an education market. So you get to know a lot of different avenues, and it's very intriguing, because a lot of times they overlap in ways that you never thought that they would. But I love building the relationships with people. Some of my clients, I have friendships with my clients now beyond Northern, because of, I think it's very, you get intense with what they need as far as from a business standpoint, and how to run their business and how they operate, so that you can help them operate at more efficiency. So I don't know. I really love that aspect of it. If I could be a professional business confidant, that would be fun. I don't know. I just love sitting and talking with people and getting to know them, and getting to understand, what it is that they need and how they want to grow. And that's always one of the questions that I ask my clients is, how do you see yourself growing in the next 5 years? Like, how are we going to get you from here to here with helping with the products that we offer, so that you can increase your productivity? So that's always fun for me. Like I being on mat leave, I definitely miss that human connection, because I talk to a 9-month-old for, 8 hours a day now.
Right. Oh.
And he doesn't talk back.
Yes. Speaking of which, I wanted to say we are on a conference call. What's the gentleman's name that's in the room with you?
His name is Luca. So Luca is 9 months old. He is very busy. He joins his other 3 brothers. So we have 4 boys now. So life is busy. We have a 9-month-old, a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 12-year-old. And my 12-year-old thinks he's like going on 18, and he is giving me a run for my money.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Poor girl. Yeah. And you're drinking decaf.
And I'm drinking decaf. It's a good time.
Oh my gosh. Warrior woman.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't think I understood chaos until the 4th child came along. And now I'm just like, no, everything's chaos.
But you can handle it.
I can handle it. But things are certainly chaotic at all times of the day.
And they're still growing. My God.
And they're still growing. Yes. Yeah. And they're just all becoming their own little people. And it's fun to watch them grow. Like over the weekend, we went to Niagara Falls and we went to Mississauga with the kids for March break. And one of the things that we of course incorporated was going to the Wolves games because they happened to be playing in Mississauga and Niagara this weekend. It just worked out that way. And Friday night, we ended up getting a suite in Mississauga, and so my partner, his family came and joined us there. So we had a really great time at the game, but I found that was probably one of the most fun times I've had with my 12-year-old in a really long time. I would say in the last 2 years because of COVID, where we just sat and watched because he loves hockey. So we just sat and like broke the game down together, and he was so into it. And I'm like, oh, I love this. I want to go to all the games with you, because I actually got to sit and be a fan as opposed to be a reporter for those 2 games. And it was obviously a completely different experience. We left the game from Niagara and I hardly had any voice left because I was yelling so much. But we had so much fun just hanging out and being present with one another. It was so much fun. And that's going to be one of the memories that I hold on to for quite some time as like one of the top ones with him for sure.
Did you take pictures?
We took lots of pictures.
Oh, good.
Lots of pictures. Yeah. Lots of pictures.
Was that Luca's first game or
it was not? No. He has been going to hockey games since he was 3 months old.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. 3 months old and, just having a great time. And he's pretty good. Like he enjoys watching the games because it's fast and he likes the action. It's obviously past his bedtime during every single one of those games. So, he usually falls asleep at some point. But he loves, I think, just the noise and the action of everything. And, when Colby, so my 12-year-old, when he was that age, I was bringing him to the games as well. And I truly believe that when you expose them to these kinds of things when they're young, it helps develop that love of the game for them. And whether they like it or not, we're going to a lot of hockey games. So, yeah, I'd rather they enjoy it. So why not immerse them in that, that culture right from the get-go?
Fun. Does Colby play hockey?
He used to. He did not this year. I gave him the option this year and he elected not to. I think some of that had to do with just the COVID restrictions and how games were played. Nice. He'll be in grade 8 next year. I could see him playing high school hockey. Like he seems to really love it. He knows he's not going to the NHL. Like he has no aspirations of that, but I think the team sport for him is so important, especially for kids that may be more of introverts. I think it's a great opportunity to expose them to a team game. You build great friendships. A lot of people that I know that have played hockey throughout their lives that are, my age now are still friends with some of the kids that they played hockey with, because you grow up with them and you go through, the ranks of everything. And oftentimes when you live in a smaller community, you tend to play on the same teams over and over again. So, and it just gives them a sense of pride for what they're doing. And, I have never seen Colby as happy as he was the last year he played hockey. He was only house league, but they had a great team. Every tournament that we went to, we won. So he felt like he was on top of the world. Like when they won, their tournament, they get the trophy and they're treating it as though it's a Stanley Cup. And at 9, 10, 11 years old, that for them, those are core memories that they're going to carry with them for the rest of their life. And I can't wait to do it all over again with Luca. Even on the weekend, I said to Jeff, I'm like, 4 more years.
Until he starts hockey.
He starts hockey. Yeah. Yeah. He'll hopefully be skating maybe next winter. Like we'll probably get him out next winter. So, he'll be a year and a half, and we'll put him on some skates. Yeah.
That's awesome. When you teach them young, then right?
Yeah. No. And you know what? promotes them being active. Like, this year we tried to pick something that we could all do as a family. So we started cross-country skiing this year because
Yeah.
it's hard to find a family activity that actually includes the baby. So, being able to do that with all of us this year was awesome. And I think,
how did you do that with the baby?
We pulled him in a carrier. So we have a carrier that's got skis on it. So he,
like a toboggan?
It's like a Thule chariot is what it's called. And then they make skis that you can transition from because it's a bike trailer, but you transition it into a ski trailer. So that was pretty cool that we got to do that. But I think it comes together with the hockey and being able to participate in something all together. It creates those memories, it creates those bonds. And it just, I don't know, being able to do that was fantastic.
I like that. I'm so glad that you guys got to do that together. Sounds a lot of fun. When you said like learning how to play hockey at like a really young age, it made me think of like the pros. Like, how old was Wayne Gretzky when he learned how to skate?
He was young, like 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there.
What about and Bobby Orr?
Same thing. They were young. Like, you start young, and it's, I think that when you're exposed to the game, you either love it or you don't, just like anything else, I think. Yeah. Like even with Luca, we've given him, he's got a mini stick and he goes downstairs with the boys and he, just waves it around basically, but he understands that the puck goes with the hockey stick because he sees that and he gets excited. And, I think just introducing things to them at a young age and allowing them to experience it, he may try hockey in 4 years and absolutely hate it. And that's fine. Like, right. One of the best things that I've heard from parents or even athletes that do play hockey at a high level is that it can't be all consuming, because if it's all consuming, eventually that passion and the drive that you have for the game will go away. Because if that's all you know nothing else, you've never been exposed to anything else, you lose it over time. And I've seen that happen with people. I have a friend who my brother played hockey with, and although he's still playing pro hockey, I've heard that it is not the same and the drive isn't the same because he has known nothing else. So as much as he loves it, it's more of a job now than being fueled by the passion that he once had. And, being exposed, if you have a well-rounded athlete, so maybe during the summer, they're playing baseball, they're playing lacrosse. Lacrosse is a big one. You see a lot of hockey players these days play lacrosse during the summer because it 100% improves, speed, agility. There's stick work. There's a direct correlation between those two sports, but just being exposed to other things and it not being this all-consuming thing, because when you love something so much, you don't ever want to lose the passion for it. But if it's the only thing that you have, then eventually over time, naturally, I think that just starts to kind of go away a little bit.
When they're not so much involved in it, or it's not their main focus, their career.
Yeah, like when you have other opportunities to participate in other things beside, whether it's hockey, whether it's baseball, football, anything, when it's all consuming, eventually I feel like the passion kind of dissipates, because when it becomes so all consuming, it becomes more of a job than your passion. And although, when you play in the NHL, it is your job, that is your job, is to go and play hockey, and you get paid quite nicely for that. But they've had to work a long ways to get to that point, and very few actually get to that point. So I feel like they've earned what they're getting. Many would argue that because they think salaries are ridiculous, but as far as salaries are compared to, NFL or Major League Baseball, hockey pales in comparison. So they're much lower.
Which one's lower?
NHL is much lower.
Okay.
Yeah, much lower. But I think over time, and you see it in some of these players too, once they're nearing kind of that end of their career, you can almost see how it's becoming more of a job as opposed to the passion that once fueled them. And that's not with everyone, for sure. And I don't want to generalize, but you can see it. And even when they do interviews, a lot of them, you can tell when they're nearing the end, because I think they know themselves that they can't either keep up with the game because it's constantly evolving, constantly moving at a different pace. But you can just see it in the way that they answer questions, the way that they go about themselves and like conduct themselves. But I think if at that point, it is their job. They are all consumed by hockey. Many of them have families, so there's things that are going on outside. But as a young athlete, when you're working your way up, and you really love a certain sport, the best thing to do is actually branch out during the off seasons and participate in something else, so that you have something else to put your energy and your time into, so that when you come back to hockey season, you're so amped up and you're so ready to go, because you're so excited for what's to come. And you've essentially been working on your skills throughout the summer, but you've been doing it in a way that you've been able to put it into something else. So your energy has gone into something else. And then you come back and you're refreshed and you're ready to go for another season.
And these are often these are young men, right? Like they're high school age students.
Yeah. So Ontario Hockey League is 16 to 20. They turn 21 in their overage year, and then they age out of the OHL. So most of them have 4 to 5 seasons max, depending on where their birthdays fall. So it's not a lot of time, and they're high school students. Like, it's crazy, because when I started, I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm not that much older than they are. Really, I was, but now I'm like, God, some of them could be my children.
I think Luca had to say something about that.
Yeah, he's currently playing with the window, so I'm like, whatever, he's fine, he's okay.
I think he wants to be part of the conversation.
Yeah. He loves to hear himself talk. Do you love to hear yourself talk? Yeah.
I wonder if he'll play hockey. It'll be interesting to see. Do the other boys?
They don't. Bit of a different situation. The other two, so the middle children, spend half their time with us and then half their time with their mom, because they are my bonus kids. I don't like the term step. I think it's very degrading. I've never liked the word stepchildren or stepmom. I have bonus parents myself, so they're my bonus parents, not my step parents, but that's not here nor there.
No.
But they spend half their time at their mom's, and the situation is a little bit different there for them. So unfortunately, they're not able to participate. But we would love to see that change, because especially our 10-year-old, he has shown tremendous interest in playing. And he goes, I know I'm not going to be very good. I'll probably be the worst skater out there, because he's never really been exposed to the sport other than us taking him to, the rink to go skating. But over the weekend, I absolutely loved watching how passionate he was about supporting his team. He loves Wolves hockey, and his favorite player is Liam Ross, who's the captain of the team. And he was yelling and screaming just as much as I was. And Jeff is like, oh God, what are you doing to him? I'm like, do you not see what's happening right before your eyes? Like, he is so passionate about it. And I love seeing that passion from him. Like, he wanted to high five after every goal. And he's fist pumping himself because he was so excited when they scored. Like, it was just so fun to see. And I think that's what sport does for so many young kids, is just create something that they can fall in love with and be passionate towards. Because when you're young, you know, you need an outlet and you need something that you can, you know, dive into head first. And for him, if it's cheering for the Sudbury Wolves, then so be it. You know, he's going to have some disappointment this year because I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. As much as they're going to make a push for it, it's going to be hard pressed for them to make the playoffs. But I think it's just having that, you know, happiness that comes out of him is just, as a parent, you're like, okay, I love this. This is perfect.
That is awesome. I mean, especially to feel and know that you're passionate about X thing.
Yeah.
Like at a young age. The other day I asked a grown man, so tell me about what you're passionate about. What is that one thing that brings you so much joy? And they said, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that. Really? You don't know what you're passionate about?
Yeah.
Like, my passion is tattooed on my body, and obviously I won't forget it because it's about dance. But I guess everybody's journey is different. I know that.
Yeah, but it is. And I feel sadness for people when they can't share what they're passionate about. And, you know, quite honestly, if you had asked me 10 years ago, I wouldn't have had a clue either. I was in a shitty marriage. I was in such an awful situation. I didn't know what was up, what was down. And the moment that everything changed was the moment that I got out of that relationship. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe again. The weight of the world was lifted up off my shoulders. And immediately everything started to shift, because Facebook memories are one of the best things that I love to look back on. And every day I'm like, wow, 10 years ago, I was effing miserable.
Right?
Like, miserable. I can't believe some of the things that, like, I posted 10 years ago. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even like myself. Like, but it's the shift that happens. And that shift has led me to exactly where I am today, which is exactly where I'm supposed to be today. So you go through all the crappy stuff and, you know, and then finding that passion. And for me, yes, I love this. This is 100% my passion, but my family, like this, I wouldn't do this if it weren't for my family. And it wouldn't be the same. I wouldn't have the same feeling towards it, because I have the best cheerleaders. Like, Jeff is, I don't even know like how to describe it, because I don't even think he realizes just how great he is in helping me get to where I want to be. Because, you know, having a partner that not only is your biggest cheerleader, but also like my biggest advocate and the person that is my sounding board. He helped me come up with Lace 'Em Up. I think actually he came up with the name Lace 'Em Up. You know, just, yeah, like we were talking one night and he's like, what about this? And I'm like, I love it. Let's do it. So, you know, having someone that's just in your corner, no matter what, is fantastic, because I've been on the other end of things where it didn't matter what you did, nothing was good and nothing was right. To this is just amazing. Absolutely incredible. And I, you know, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be able to make this work, because the reality is that we have 4 kids now, that if I'm doing a broadcast, you know, he's stepping up and we are a partnership. It's not, oh, he's babysitting the kid. Like, you hear that term so much, like, oh, my husband is babysitting the kids. No, we're a partnership. Like, He's stepping up now. Now's his turn. I'm taking a step back so I can do what I need to do. You know, during the day, he's gone, he's at work doing what he loves to do. And I'm stepping up and I'm making sure that the kids are okay. But just having like a real honest partnership and not just this power struggle of, well, I did this and you did that. Like, it's so refreshing. And, you know, I tell people all the time, because I hear so much of, I'm not really happy. I'm not like, I don't know, like, what do I do? And I always tell people the best thing I ever did was walk away from a shitty marriage.
Yeah. Wow. You're not preaching to the choir. Those Facebook memories have showed me where I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And what kind of person I was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That's not, I was working on the person that I wanted to be, but I was growing, but it's uncomfortable. Remember those? Oh my gosh.
Super uncomfortable.
But it's growth.
And it is growth. And you know, what you said too, where you saw that you were growing through that time. 10 years ago, I wasn't growing. I was stagnant. I was existing in a bad situation and trying to make it through every single day. But that's not living. And now, like, as soon as I got out of that, you can start to see the shift right away. And it was incredible because I look back, I'm like, oh, well, 9 years ago, I was much happier. And, you know, and you see it build and build and build. But because even with business and in the successes that I've had, I never would have had those successes had I not gone through that period of my life to get to where I am now. Because I think the bad times taught me so much about myself, as now that I look back on it, because I was resilient, I persevered, I came out of it. And you know what? I came out of it so much better. And if I hadn't have done the work from that point to where I am now, Jeff and I wouldn't be together. Luca wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have a blended family where we have 4 kids now. Everything, you know, followed a certain path. And even afterwards, you know, I was in another relationship and it was good for a period of time. And then it wasn't good. And even that taught me, because I was so much stronger at that point, that there are things I'm willing to accept and there are things that I'm not willing to accept. And when I feel like I'm being told I'm not enough for someone or that I am not good enough, bye-bye. You know what? I was at a point in my life where I'm like, yeah, I don't have time for this.
Nobody has time for that.
No. And much like you, I have a tattoo on my foot and mine says I am enough. So because I needed the reminder
in your speech.
Yeah.
You referred to it. I love that. Yeah. I am enough.
Yeah. And I look down at it every single day, because when I had it done, he was like, well, it should be facing out so other people can read it. I'm like, it's not for anybody else, but for me. I need to read it. I need the reminder every single day. So I had him flip it so that I look at it and I can read it. And I, you know, because self-doubt, man, it creeps in often. And, you know, I am somebody that suffers from anxiety, and I have to work really hard to keep it in check. You know, I don't need medication for it because I've gone through so much therapy at this point that I now have the tools that I need in order to work through that. But it's taken me years. I'm 36. I'll be 37 in November this year. And it has taken me
an 85 baby. 85 awesome. Baby. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm in June. Yeah.
It has taken me, you know, forever to get to this point. You're going to make
Hi, Luca.
Say hi.
Hi. Oh, what a great ending to the episode. You are a handsome little fella, and I bet you're going to be a good hockey player.
You'll be a good hockey player? Yeah. See, we got to get you some more teeth first. Yeah. No, but I think, you know, just follow your passions, and people that are sitting at home, they're like, well, I don't know what I'm passionate about. Find what you're passionate about, because life is way too damn short to go through it without, having something that you absolutely love and that you want to invest your time in. And I've seen it too many times where life has been taken away from somebody and they never got that opportunity. So don't waste yours.
Yes. Wise words. That's great. Amanda, I love watching you chase your passion and growing your family and bringing these sweet little souls into our community. You are so cute. How many teeth are there?
Just 2.
Just the 2 up?
Just
like
2.
On the
We're
bottom?
working on some more, bud? Yeah. Yeah. But 2 is too many for a mom that's breastfeeding. Anybody who breastfeeds.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But no, you know what? I appreciate you taking the time and doing things like this, because it gives a voice to so many people in the community through you, that allows people to hopefully be uplifted or hear something that they, resonate with and decide like, hey, maybe I want to make a change, or I want to pursue my passions. And, like I said, life is just way too short. And especially over the last 2 years, I think we've all seen that a lot. And you just can't take anything for granted, and you just need to go for it.
Yes. Oh, I love it. We should all feel joy and passionate about everything we do.
Yes.
Amanda, thank you so much for having this candid moment with me today. I have had so much fun connecting with you.
Thank you so much. And it was so great to catch up with you. Hopefully we can have coffee soon.
I would love that.
Yes.
I'll buy you a decaf.
I'm a cheap date these days.
Aw, well, maybe, how long are you going to nurse for?
Hopefully another 3 months. So 3 more months of this.
Okay. Hey, let's plan to have a caffeinated coffee in 3 months then.
That would be perfect.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you. Take care.
You too, Amanda Zurkowski, everybody, and Luca.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.